The Arab Sugar Daddy and the Beautiful Indian Girl by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is a one-sided love story between a rich old Saudi man and a beautiful poor Indian girl. It was written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. It is a novel in 6 parts. Part 1. The Arab Sugar Daddy falls in love with a beautiful Indian girl. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored, rival system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by the reviewer, who may quote brief passages from the review for printing in a general magazine, a school journal, or a university article. All characters in this novel are fictitious, and any resemblance to real people, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Chapter 6. The Wicked Boss. Everyone in the travel agency office is astonished when they hear the unbelievable news that a wealthy Saudi man is not only going to cover all the costs of a working visa for an Indian maidservant, but he is also prepared to purchase her airline ticket. No one in the office had ever heard of such an incredible offer, which made them suspicious that there must be a more guarded reason that they had not yet been made aware of. The wealthy Saudi man has told no one why he is being so generous to this one Indian woman. Millions of Indian women want to go to the rich Arab countries and work, but they cannot afford to buy visas or cover the other costs associated with all the arrangements. Therefore, this case of the Indian woman who got everything for free is perplexing matter indeed, and a great mystery to everyone in the office who wishes he could solve it. In the travel agency office, there are 9 employees. 6 of them are young girls, 2 are men, and 1 is a male Sudanese interpreter. A Sudanese interpreter is the same foreign student who had tried to help Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed during the dispute he had with his Christian wife, the lovely Christy. Since that time, they developed a kind of symbiotic relationship, and it was the wealthy Saudi sheikh who found him a job as a translator in the agency. Usually, Indians do not employ foreign students because it is strictly forbidden by law to employ any foreigner in India, a restriction that has been implemented due to the alarming high rate of unemployment. Nonetheless, because Sheikh Ahmed brings hundreds of visas to the recruitment office every few months, the owner took the risk and secretly employed the Sudanese foreign student. The owner of the agency is a Muslim man, and all his employees are Muslims too. The 6 female employees are pretty young teenage girls. The owner of the business refused to accept and employ young girls except on the promise that they pay him sexual favors. He is a woefully wicked boss who remained indifferent to the plight of any young woman who stepped into his office to ask for a job or a visa. He cared not that he stripped them of their dignity when he sexually harassed them, and cared even less when he kicked them on the spot for objecting to his demand for sexual favors. Those whose lives depended on earning a living to care for their family had been forced to surrender to his abuse of authority in exchange for job security. I must add that even in the Bollywood film industry, some directors will not give a beautiful young girl a leading role in their movie unless she agrees to sleep with him first. And if she wants to continue working for him, it is required that she continues to entertain him, unless she quickly rises to stardom, at which point she will likely cease the consensual sexual relationship. She must accept that she will be at the owner's command. ready to serve him whatever his sexual deeds for her stunning beauty and sexy body arise. That being said, employing attractive young girls became a common feature in Bombay, a trade that seemingly drew more customers, especially the sex perverts, the Arabs. A girl or a young woman in India would not be able to prove she has been sexually harassed unless she is working in a government job. In the private sector, it would be exceedingly difficult to prove harassment. If a young woman or a lady called the police to complain that about her boss, the boss would bribe the police to keep their mouths shut. The police officers themselves would not spare the girl who brought them this kind of complaint. Policemen in India are more dangerous to young women than their abusive employers. In this travel agency, three young Muslim men work along with the six pretty young Indian girls. One of the men is named Jamal and the other is Javed. The Sudanese interpreter is known as Babikir. He is nicknamed by some of his Sudanese friends Babikir al-Awar because he is a one-eyed man. The evil owner of the business is called Mr. Muhammad Khan. The names of the six female employees are not relevant at this stage because they do not all play an important role in the case of the beautiful Indian maid, Layla, who is called Rehana Khan, and who by chance found the sugar daddy, the old rich Arab, who became fascinated by the beauty of her face and obsessed with her sexy body. Those female employees who have something to do with our story, their names will be revealed later on. When the lovely Layla showed up at the travel agency the following day, all three male workers were captivated by her marvelous beauty and each fell madly in love with her. The six female employees, the six The six female employees understood immediately why the wealthy Saudi business tycoon wanted it to cover all the expenses for Rehana's trip to his country. The owner, Mr. Khan, is an enormously proud and arrogant man who has never stood to greet any Indian visitor to his office. He stood and shook hands with Arab clients, but he never stood to greet an Indian. Normally, he places his boss feet atop his big table, and if the Prime Minister of India walks in, he would remain unmoved. He would never stand up to greet an Indian except today, the day the beautiful maid Rehana Khan entered his office. She is the fairest Indian visitor who weakened his pride and conceited attitude. She, without a word of greeting, compelled him to his feet and commanded respect. Not only did he rise from his seat and shake her hand, but he also offered her a chair to sit down. Rarely does he invite visitors to sit in his office. He just forces them to stand and assume the place of inferiority. Any conversations would take place within this arrangement. It does not matter how long the transaction took. He never offered anyone a chair to sit down on. None of his 9 employees has ever occupied a seat in his office. His office door is always closed, and whenever any employee wants him to sign any papers, they have to phone him and ask for permission to enter his office. When permission is granted, the employee has to knock on the door to his office and wait for him to invite them in. Then he or she has to walk in and close the door behind them. Or sometimes the employee may find him talking on his cell phone. In that case, He or she has to remain to stand and be quiet until Mr. Muhammad Khan finishes his phone conversation. He has two phones on his white desk and one cell phone. Very often, if he is talking on one phone, another call would come in on the other phone. He would put the first call on hold and switch to the second phone, and then the cell phone would start ringing and he would switch to the cell phone. In that way, the employee could remain standing for hours. But today is different. The lovely girl Rehana Khan has been offered a seat in his office, and he the one who requests her to sit down. Only then does he return to his seat. He is not a man known to be generous with his smiles, but he smiles gleefully at the extremely beautiful Indian girl Rehana. Mr. Muhammad Khan is a married man and in his late 50s. He has a wife and 5 children, yet he slept with hundreds of other women and girls outside his marriage bonds. Outwardly, he appears to be a deeply religious man, but inside, he's a very wicked and corrupt man. He has a long beard that looks like a dirty broom, and sometimes he carries an Islamic prayer bead in his hand. He always keeps a big copy of the Quran on his table. His, his outward religiousness easily fools his Arab clients, but not his employees or close friends and family. Everyone around him knows that he is a notorious womanizer and a despicable pedophile. He is also associated with several Muslim gangs in Bombay. In India, every businessman needs some kind of protection from the outlawed gangsters known as the Gundas. It is quite common in Bombay for the Gundas to send anonymous letters to rich people and demand ransom money. If no money is handed over, they would shoot them or kidnap one or of their children or sometimes their wives. If you live in India, now and then you would read an article in the Times of India or other local newspaper that so and so has been shot and killed in front of his office or his house because he refused to pay the ransom money. So, for rich people and businessmen to protect themselves from the Gundas, they either have to be affiliated with an existing gang and buy protection from them, or become Gundas and establish their gang. The police are hopeless in this regard. Of all the gangs, Muslim gangs are the most dangerous in India. The most notorious Gunda, who is infamously known as the number one enemy of India, is a Muslim man by the name of Dawood Ibrahim. He controls almost all the gangs and drug activities in Bombay, and no one challenges his turf. He does not live in India but directs his operation from his haven in Dubai city, where he practically rules the entire city of Bombay. The Bombay Crime Branch of the Criminal Investigation Department has repeatedly tried, without success, to have him arrested and extradited to India, but the police of Dubai refused to do so. The government of Dubai said that as long as Dawood Ibrahim is not involved in any criminal activity in their country, he would not be arrested or made to leave the country or extradited to his country of origin. Being a Gunda and a notorious womanizer, Mr. Muhammad Khan is aware struck by Rehana's extreme beauty. He concluded Sheikh Ahmed had already slept with Rehana, and that is why he had promised to provide her with a free visa and airfare and to cover all the costs of her travel. Mr. Muhammad does not believe in a free lunch, and no young woman had ever stepped in his office alone without him trying his luck. As a matter of habit, he slid into character and asked Rehana, "How come the old man has given you everything for free?" He has expected two responses from her. She would either be straightforward and tell the truth or smile demurely and refuse to answer. Howbeit, Rehana had not responded as he expected. She narrated to him what had happened between her and the Saudi man. Mr. Muhammad Khan does not believe a word she has said to him and tells her straight to her face, "Why are you hiding the truth from me? Is it because you are a married Muslim woman and you do not want to admit that you have slept with a man that is not your husband?" Mr. Muhammad Khan has already come to know through his employee, the Sudanese boy, that Rehana is a married woman. It was after her conversation with her benefactor, Sugar Daddy, that the Sudanese translator invited the maid servant Rohana to travel with him in a taxi to the local train station. He told her that he lived in a hostel just behind Chadgate station, the station she was going to, and he met her there the following day to escort her to the travel office where he works. He also became interested in the lovely Rehana from the moment he saw her during her initial meeting with the old Saudi man. During that short period, a Sudanese boy asked Rehan hundreds of questions and came to know many things about her. Rehana told Mr. Muhammad Khan simply that she had never slept with a man except for her husband, and she would never sleep with any man in the future who is not her lawful husband. Rehana spoke the truth in this regard. Although she was sexually harassed by her male employers, she never allowed anyone to have sex with her. Something about the way she spoke convinced Muhammad Khan that she was not lying. He is such an evil genius that no one can fool him quickly. He knows all the tricks of sexual harassment and deeply understands the intricacies of deception because he himself is a master con man to the core, and he's a very accomplished deceiver himself. He is like a police officer in the West who would keep staring directly into your eyes while you are speaking and would know immediately whether you are lying or speaking the truth. Sometimes, just by reading a person's body language and the implication in their voice, the officer would know what the person is going to say even before they say it. Although Muhammad Khan understood that Rehana Khan had not slept with the old Saudi geezer, he could easily guess why the old man wanted her to come and work in his house in Saudi Arabia. So he felt his second duty as a Muslim man is to warn his sister in the Islamic faith of the great risk involved for a beautiful young lady to travel all alone at such a young age to a male-dominated society to work in the house of a rich old man. Rehana thanked him for his advice and told him that she could take care of herself. The third question that he felt he must ask, since he came to know she's a married woman: how come your Muslim husband agreed to allow you to travel all alone to a foreign country? He knows that a Muslim man would not usually allow his beautiful young wife to go overseas by herself because Islam does not allow a woman to travel without her husband or a male muhram. The muhram is any close male relative. A woman could not marry, such as her father, brother, or an adult son. But if the woman is married, then she is allowed to travel with her husband. He even quoted to her the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, which said a woman does not travel except with a muhram. Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Rehana has never been to any public school or any Islamic religious madrasa, and she knows truly little knowledge about her Islamic faith. She knows her God is called Allah, her holy book is the Quran, and her prophet is Muhammad. She cannot read a single surah of the Quran in its entirety, even if it is the shortest of them, such as Surah Al-Ikhlas. She told Muhammad that her husband had recently died and that she had become the only breadwinner of her big family. She has to take care of her 6 children, her elderly parents, and also her late husband's aging parents. Mr. Muhammad Khan was shocked when he learned that such a young and pretty woman had already given birth to 6 children. He asked whether she had informed her sponsor that she was a widow and had 6 children. When she said she had not, he asked her what she is going to do with her children since she would receive only a single visa as promised by her sponsor. Rehana said that she is planning to taking her 7-year-old daughter with her since the slum huts are not safe for her, but that her parents and in-laws would keep her 5 sons. Mr. Muhammad Khan understood Rehana's concerns, but told her that her Saudi sponsor had given his agency only a single work visa, which was meant for her alone. With only one visa, she would not be allowed to take her daughter with her. Rehana told him that if her daughter could not go with her, then she would not go to Saudi Arabia either. He tries to convince her to leave her daughter and travel alone, but it is because it is a golden opportunity. Rehan insisted that without her daughter, she is not going anywhere. At first, Mr. Muhammad Khan is inclined to put her in her place and tell her to just forget it and go back from where you have come from. But suddenly remembers that he has no right to make such a decision. Instead, he decided to phone his client, Sheikh Ahmed, to let him decide on the matter. He picked up his phone and dialed the number of Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmed while Rehana Khan sat in front of him. He told her sponsor of her marital status and the situation with her daughter. Sheikh Ahmed immediately agreed that Rehana should bring her daughter with her. Muhammad Khan has been shocked at the old man's response. He sounded as though he was exceedingly overjoyed to know that Rehana has a 7-year-old daughter and she wants to bring her as well. Sheikh Ahmed told Mr. Muhammad Khan that he would be sending the appropriate visa for her daughter immediately and he should expect to receive it in less than 48 hours. Muhammad told Rehana the good news and an unreserved smile appeared on her lovely face, which caused her sexy lips to come forward as if preparing for a man's kiss, making her even more sexually desirable in the tormented heart of Muhammad Khan. It made him want her even more than before. The fact that she has lost her husband recently convinced him that if he does not rush things, he may sleep with the lovely Layla before her wealthy sponsor Qais takes possession of her. With that wicked thought in mind, he stretched out his hand, took hold of her hand, and congratulated her. Her soft hand on his rough hand tempted him to stand up, take her between his arms, and kiss her on her sexy lip. Now that his Saudi client has given the green light for Rehana's daughter to travel to Saudi Arabia with her mother, Mr. Muhammad Khan has found he could not keep the lovely Layla in his office any longer. He called his employee Jamal and told him to begin working on Rehana and her daughter's travel preparations. Chapter 7. Meeting the handsome employee. Jamal Khan is the employee to whom Mr. Muhammad Khan had given Rehana Khan's paperwork for processing and preparing for her overseas trip. His first assignment is to get passports for her and her daughter. This Jamal is a young, handsome Indian man and single at present. He is also Muslim. He was delighted to have been chosen from among the 3 male employees and given the responsibility of preparing travel documents for the beautiful new Muslim Indian Layla for her elderly Arab benefactor, who by mere chance had become her sugar daddy. He learned from the Sudanese employee that the Indian maidservant was a married woman. Rehana had told the Sudanese interpreter that she was married, but she did not tell him that her husband had died. Jamal, like the other 8 employees, does not know her marital status. Although he admires her beauty, he does not like the idea of a Muslim woman leaving her husband and traveling to a male-dominated country like Saudi Arabia. He had been brought up with the knowledge that it was unsafe for a beautiful foreign young woman in Saudi Arabia once the Arabs discovered that she is all alone without a male chaperone. Experience in dealing with Arab clients in Kulaba convinced him that Arab men view women as nothing more than meat and always want to devour them as if they are cannibals. In Jamal's opinion, Arab men are crazy for women. They love women with big breasts, a big body, and a big buttocks, and they see them as nothing more than a good fatty meal, and they are like mad dogs. Whenever they see a woman with such feminine descriptions, they just want to eat her up or rape her in broad daylight. Jamal's opinion on the Arab woman in India is not wrong. Wherever they travel, they view infidel women as fresh meat and think they have the divine right granted to them by their religion to have sex with them or rape them. There is a well-known Muslim imam and mufti in Australia who shares the same opinion. The Egyptian imam Sheikh Tajuddin Al-Hilali, the Australian nation's most senior Muslim clerk, in his public sermon, which he delivered before 5,000 worshippers in Sydney on the occasion of the Eid al-Fitr, said that the woman is just meat and the man has no obligation to exercise self-control when he sees a woman than a stray cat that finds meat left out in the street. The Imam was speaking about the increasing social phenomena where more and more young Australian women are getting raped regularly by Lebanese and other Muslim immigrants in the city of Sydney. He blamed the victims rather than their evil rapists. According to him, non-Muslim Australian women who are called infidel simply walk in the streets without covering their bodies with the abaya and hijab, or without wearing the burqa or a niqab over their faces. The Muslim men see them as exposed meat, and that is why they are raped. To justify this theory, he gave the example of a starving cat that finds a morsel of meat in the garbage or on the street and eats it up. For him, the cat is not to blame because the person should not have left raw meat out on the street. So this person is to blame for leaving fresh meat out on the oven. He concluded that the rapist should not be blamed, but that the female victim who leaves her body uncovered is at fault. What an evil, atrocious things for a religious leader to say. He should be locked up for life for his wicked teachings or kicked out and deported back to the Muslim country where he came from. Jamal's main worry is that if Rehana traveled without her husband or a father to Saudi Arabia, she would be raped by her kafil sponsor. Jamal Khan did not have to wait for long before he began to discuss these bent up serious issues with Rehana. He talked with her about those things while they are traveling together in a taxi to the Worldly Passport Office. Rehana informed him that her husband died recently and her father is too old to accompany her on such a long trip. Besides that, her father is the only one among her 4 old relatives who can take care of her 5 sons while she's away. This made Jamal feel both happy and sad. He is glad to know that Rehana is a single mother. He concluded that his conscience would not bother him if he fell in love with her because she was a Muslim widow. Before her news of her husband's death, the decent young man Jamal had decided not to push his feelings to the extent of falling in love with her. He is an unmarried man, but it would never be his intention to take a woman from her husband and elope with her. Now that he understood that her husband had died, he decided to release the reins of his heart and fall headlong in love with her. Unbeknownst to him, Rehana's feelings are also mutual. Jamal Khan is also an extremely handsome young man, and he could easily make a girl fall in love with him. He is sweet, kind-hearted, and mild-spoken with a good personality too. He is deeply honest in his dealings with people. Unlike his vicious and arrogant boss, he is very humble. He is not only a down-to-earth man, but he also speaks from his heart. He treats others like he wants to be treated, and he wishes for the best for everyone he meets. When he helps people, he does not expect anything in return. Rehana liked him from the very moment she met him. She too enjoyed his company, and she felt as if she had known him all her life. It seemed the two had fallen in love with each other at first sight. But Rehana had never loved a man before she met Jamal. By the way, the Arabic name Jamal in English means a beautiful man. A dictionary from California, US says the name Rehana means fragrant flower or a basil and is of Arabic origin. A translator from Florida, USA says the name Rehana is of an English origin means flower. In 1 hour, the handsome Jamal has told the beautiful Rehana almost everything there is to know about himself, and he asks her 100 questions in return. Jamal discovered that Rehana is a sincere, unsophisticated, and deeply moral woman. Whatever he wanted to know about her, she told him. The 1 hour traveling time by taxi with the lovely Rehana from Kullaba to Wali is nothing compared to the typical 2-hour commute to work by a local express train that the handsome Jamal has been subjected to every day and twice up and down. At the passport office, Rehana discovered that she was not allowed to apply for her daughter's passport because her daughter was not with her. She would also need her daughter's photos to apply for a separate passport for her. Then Jamal took Rehana to a nearby studio to have her passport photos taken. He explained that she would have to bring her daughter to the travel office the following day to have her daughter's photos taken for her passport application. After visiting the passport office, Jamal took Rehana for lunch at a beautiful restaurant, and afterward, they walked to an ice cream shop and had dessert. It is the first time Rehan has eaten food in a restaurant and the first time she has ever tasted ice cream. She is pleasantly thrilled by the generosity of Jamal, who spent time with her and paid for her lunch with money from his pocket. Jamal dropped Rehan off at the Dadar local train station. He did not leave until Rehan had safely entered the train, which was jam-packed, and headed it back toward her slum area. Jamal felt as if his heart was inside the train with her. Rehana, although childlike in many ways, knows she has stolen someone's heart and she's quietly confident in her womanly abilities. As we have already mentioned, Rihanna has not experienced love with a man before. Her late husband did not love her, and neither had she loved him. Her husband married her through the customary Indian arranged marriage. The majority of Indians hate love relations between their kids with other kids because it may result in an intercaste marriage. Therefore, most parents do not allow their sons and daughters to enter into a love marriage. All parents in India reserve the right to choose their children's life partners. Within the religious communities, Muslims do not like their daughters marrying Hindu boys. Hindus do not like their sons and daughters marrying non-Hindus. Christians do not like to marry Hindus or Muslims, and Buddhists do not like mixed marriages between Hindus and Muslims. Hindus themselves do not like intercaste marriages, etc. To avoid these unacceptable intermarriage alliances, parents would simply choose their children's life partners and do away with the uncomfortable matrimonial unions. Even so, in big cities like Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, and New Delhi, where there are many foreigners and international media influence, many young people rebel against the traditional arranged marriage system. In high schools and universities, boys and girls mingle during their school sessions, and some would fall in love with their classmates from different religious backgrounds or castes. Love affairs are socially and religiously unacceptable and often lead to terrible consequences. Many Muslim girls were killed by their parents the moment it was apparent that they were pregnant with illegitimate babies as a result of a liaison with their Hindu boyfriends. Christian girls eloped to other cities with their Muslim lovers and lived together without the benefit of marriage. Hindu girls took their own lives when their parents did not allow them to marry their lovers from other castes. Before the Indian government changed the marriage laws, there was no other recourse for lovers. To stop such crimes against young, innocent lovers, the government of India introduced court marriages as an alternative to traditional religious marriage. Court marriage is open to any couple who wants to, to get married regardless of their religious affiliation. They would wait without the express permission of their parents or religious authorities. Howbeit, court marriage could not completely solve the long-held views of parents holding steadfast to family traditions and religious customs. Parents all too often would discover where their daughter is living with her unrecognized husband and kill them both. Sometimes, no matter where the couples went or where they live, they still carried with them the stigma of this taboo, disobeying their God and parents, a curse and disgrace to the sanctity of the holy sacrament of marriage. They are viewed as being devoid of all moral fabric and compass. This brings to memory the case of a Hindu family living in Vancouver City in Canada. Their daughter fell in love with a boy from a lower caste. Although both lovers were Hindu, still the girl's parents objected it because her boyfriend was from a low caste. Nevertheless, the two lovers concocted a plan to get married while in India and got married to each other in the city of Bombay. The girl's parents were outraged when they learned that their daughter eloped with her boyfriend and had been married in a Bombay court. The angry parents hired gundas or gangsters and bade them to kill their daughter and her new husband. Those thugs, who were Indian gangsters, attacked the newly married couple in their rented apartment in Bombay City and beat them severely. The boy died before the neighbors informed the local police, and the young girl was rushed to the hospital and fortunately survived the vicious attack. When those anti-social elements were arrested and interrogated by Bombay police, the entire plot was uncovered. The girl's parents were arrested by the Canadian police, RCMP, and admitted their involvement in the crime. The officials of Indian wanted the Canadian police to extradite the parents to Bombay to stand trial because the penalty for a crime such as this called for death by hanging. The Vancouver police refused to hand over the parents to the Bombay police force. The reason given is that Canada does not have provisions for the death penalty. In the case of Rehan and Jamal, there would be no problem if they decided to get married because both of them are Sunni Muslims. As a point of interest, Sunni and Shiite Muslims do not form marriage bonds because they hate each other to the point of death. To date, hundreds of Shiite Muslims in Iraq are killed within their mosque walls by Sunni suicide bombers. Likewise, Shiite Muslims in return will plant bombs in the crowded market areas of Sunni Muslims and take the lives of thousands of innocent women and children. To this very day, of all the religions of the world, the followers of Islam continue to kill each other without remorse. The hatred and violence between Sunni Muslims, 85% of Muslims in the world, and Shiite Muslims, 15% of Muslims in the world, go back to the first few years after the death of Muhammad. Aisha, the beloved wife of Muhammad, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin and son-in-law of Muhammad, hated each other. Their armies fought one another, and in one single day, 14,000 Muslims were killed by their fellow Muslims in the famous Battle of the Camel. The camel refers to the camel that Aisha rode astride when she led her troops to fight Ali's army. After the slaughter of Ali's son Hussein and his entire family members, men, women, and all, and children, by the Mujahideen fighters of the first Umayyad Caliph Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, the followers of Ali were known as Shi'at of Ali, or a faction of Ali, and separated themselves in a sect known as the Shi'at sect. The Shi'ats rejected the next three rightly guided caliphs who succeeded Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, and recount them as infidels. They consider Aisha, the beloved wife of the Prophet Muhammad, a whore and an apostate and woman, and condemn to hellfire. They have accepted only the fourth and last rightly guided caliph, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Aisha was known for exposing the Prophet Muhammad's secret sexual life. In her hadiths, she spoke openly about how he had sex with her or raped her when she was just a 9-year-old girl, and even during her menstruation period, he had sex with her, which is an Islamic taboo according to the Quran. For that reason, Shiites hate her and consider her a betrayer and a notorious whore. If a Sunni Muslim girl named Aisha happened to fall into the hands of the Shiites, she would be liable to be raped and then slaughtered. Likewise, if a taxi driver in Iraq happened to have the name Abu Bakr, Umar, or Usman and enter a Shiite area in the Baghdad, he would be burned alive by Shiites. The Sunni Muslims do not mind retaining the evil in an even greater magnitude to the Shiite Muslims anywhere within their arena. And the cycle of violence continues even today. The following day, Rehana Khan brought her cute 7-year-old daughter, Iffat, along with her. Before Rehana and her daughter arrived at the office, the other 8 employees noticed something different about Jamal's behavior and the way he was dressed. It is as if he won the American visa lottery or something extraordinary happened in his life and turned Barbie's sweetheart Ken into Superman overnight. He's changed from an ordinary, hardworking and struggling young Indian boy to the happiest man in the world. His clothes are spiffy and he's joyfully chatting and joking around with everyone in the office. But there is nothing in that travel agency to make anyone happy. The wages are minuscule. The boss is best friends with the devil, and the workload is beyond anyone's capacity. Not to mention the sexual harassment endured by the female employees to continue working in this sex for hire, a hell hole. There is nothing to be happy about. So the puzzled employees questioned Jamal's unwarranted happiness in what amounted to a legalized system of slavery labor. For unknown reason, females in India seem to be smarter than males. India is the only country in the world where women appear to have the upper hand and dominate the men. Some people believe that the late female Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, who ruled the country for 15 years, changed the social order in which women gained an advantage or control in many aspects. Whether this theory is true or not is not our concern, but it becomes obvious to every visitor to India that women rule their husbands and take the lead in most family affairs, as well as work side by side with the men. We have already seen how Sheikh Faiz Badi Ahmed's intelligent and courageous Christian wife, Christy, telling his authority, confiscated his wealth and possessions, divorced him, married her Indian friend Bobby, and finally expelled from her life her old Arab husband, who for a while had been her sugar daddy and was unable to do anything against her to exact justice. We have already seen how but as we know, if such thing happened to be in Saudi Arabia or any other Arab country, would have cut his ex-Christian wife into pieces and burn her remains with unquenchable fire. The 6 female employees of the travel agency deduced that the handsome Jamal had fallen in love with the beautiful Rehana, and they whispered this juicy gossip among each other. Their suspicions are confirmed when they see Rehana walk into the office with her little daughter, Iffat, and, and hear Jamal's jubilant reaction. In India, only Hindus bow to each other in greeting, a tradition left over from the despicable caste system. The person of the lower caste has to bow to the person of the higher caste. Shaking hands or touching is not allowed because the person of the lower caste would defile the person of the higher caste. If a mere touch is involved, only greeting through bowing is permitted, and the Hindu woman would never shake hands with a man. Instead, she will clasp her hands together and bring them in front of her face and say, Namaste. Indian Muslims, Buddhists, Sikhs, and Christians never bow to anyone. Even so, on this day, Jamal exposed the true affection of his heart when he stood up and bowed to Rehana as she entered the office. He then ran from his chair and shook her hand, and then picked up her lovely daughter into his arms and gave her a gentle kiss on the cheek. While he carried her daughter, he brought a chair placed in front of his table and requested Rehana to sit down to conduct business. Jamal then called the peon and asked him to bring some cold drinks for his important female visitor and her cute little daughter. Of course, from Jamal's extraordinary attention, it is evident he is infatuated with his female visitor. A blind man could see the immense love growing in his heart minute by precious minute. At first, Rehana's disposition does not readily reveal her emotions. She is good at hiding how she feels because she has lived for so long with a husband that she did not love. For this reason, the girls concluded this love affair is one-sided love on Jamal's part and is acting like a love-struck fool. The other 2 male employees came to a different conclusion. They know from experience that the inner workings of a woman's heart hold deep secrets that are not always easy to detect. This issue is for the future to reveal. Before Jamal could call a cab for the trip to the Worldly Passport Office, he asked his especially important female client many questions as they enjoyed their refreshments. He could have asked her those things during their upcoming 1 hour trip in the taxi, just to show off. The handsome Jamal asked the pretty Rehana to tell him what her date of birth is, the place of her parents, her height and weight, the color of her eyes and hair, and many more unnecessary questions. One angry female employee whispered to another female employee and said he should also ask her to tell him the color of her underwear and bra. Jamal is a very respectful man and does not mention private matters or unspeakable things. Surprisingly, he had not asked Rehana to tell him anything about her daughter. Everyone in the office knew he had already applied for Rehana's passport on the previous day, and today he is supposed to apply for her daughter's passport. One female employee, out of jealousy, confronted Jamal with why he had not asked anything about the daughter, which left everyone baffled. Being exposed, Jamal smiled and said to her, "But she is the mother, and I need to know everything about her before I ask her about her daughter." The female employee responded, "Did she not tell you yesterday about the color of her eyes and hair? And by the way, Why do you want to know the color of her dress and shoes? Do they ask those personal questions in the passport office? Jamal has been exposed and dully impressed in front of his colleagues and has not answered this question. Instead, he suggested to the beautiful Rehana that it was time to leave for the passport office. He took her cute daughter, Ifat, by the hand and led her out of the office. When the sweet maid Rehana left the six female employees felt relief, while the two male employees felt frustrated. The two male employees wanted the beautiful and sexy Layla to stay as long as possible so they could stare at her stunningly beautiful face and sexy body and daydream about what could happen if she shared the bed with him tonight. Chapter 8. Her first love affair. As soon as Rehana and Jamal have left, the office has turned into a rumor mill. Everyone has gossiped and created his or her own story about what is going on between Jamal and Rehana. Jamal has been accused of being a foolish lover for falling in love with a married woman. What is more, they are aware that her wealthy Saudi sponsor had offered Rehana a free visa, free airfare, and the same for her daughter as well. The girls know from experience that nothing comes from free in this world, especially from the world they live in. They collectively convinced themselves that Rehan had to have given up something in return. Therefore, one of them asked openly, "What is more, how can a young man like Jamal foolishly fall in love with a married woman who cheats on her husband and is prepared to sleep with any man who is ready to buy her open pussy at a cheap price?" This question has been boasted by the girl who felt envious of the attention Rehana was receiving from the most handsome employee in the office and had sought to impress Jamal by initiating an inquisition concerning the way he was conducting his job. "She's a bad woman, no doubt about it," responded another girl. "How can you be so sure that she's a bad woman when you haven't known her for more than 2 days?" asked the Sudanese boy. "I know a whore woman by looking at her eyes. This Indian woman, the maid Rehana, has not taken her eyes off Jamal's face for a single second since she entered the office. I'm sure that she enticed him as she enticed that stupid Sheikh Arab for a job and a free ride." "Oh, no, Tahira," shouted another girl by the name of Roxana. "You believe Jamal's version of the free visa and ticket story?" "I don't believe that the old Arab is stupid enough to give an Indian maid servant a visa and air ticket if she did not go with him to his hotel room and spend the night on his bed and promise to be his mistress when he takes her to his country. She made the wealthy old Arab man her sugar daddy." "No doubt about it," responded Tahira. What the two jealous girls, Roxana and Tahira, said about the old Arab man is half true. But what these two envious female employees said about Jamal is true. The old Saudi geezer did not offer these things to the lovely Indian girl Rehana for free. He wanted her to come to his country and in turn become his mistress, or the sex slave woman whom his right hand owned. As the Quran clearly said about the female slaves in Surah An-Nisa 4 verse 3. He believed that his money had bought him the beautiful young woman who would be his beautiful Indian Layla, and he was her all Arab case. He concluded that Rehana had already become his property, and now it is just a matter of time before he sees her completely naked lying in his bed in his huge mansion in Saudi Arabia. He expected the travel agency to prepare her travel papers shortly and ship her airmail by special delivery to him in his country so that he could start enjoying her as his Indian Layla, or rather, his new female slave Rehana. He remembered his prophet Muhammad used to have sex with his Jewish maidservant Rehana bint Umr without marrying her. In this short holding period, a critical incident took place in Rehana's life. The jealous girl Roxana has correctly observed that the beautiful Rehana could not keep her eyes off the handsome Jamal. It was true the lovely Juliet kept observing her handsome Romeo from her chair. She did not seem to notice what others were saying. At that time, the lovely Layla did not even look at the other two young men who kept staring at her constantly. She just focused her beautiful eyes on her new mad lover case. Rehana is not a complicated person to understand. Although she keeps her emotions deep inside, she is too naive to hide her love forever. As mentioned, she had never fallen in love with a man before, and neither had she felt loved by any man, even her father. It was an incredibly sad and wretched life growing up living with her poor parents. She was given in marriage to her late husband when she was 14-year-old underage girl. For her to remember those heartbreaking details might spoil the seeds of love that have just sprouted in Rehana's heart, making her smile inwardly for the first time in her life. It is her first love affair. Before she met Jamal, many rich men in the houses she was working in wanted to have sex with her, but none of them were willing to descend to her level and fall in love with her or ask her to marry him. She is fortunate that none of her employers thus far had attempted to rape her. Rich men in Bombay do not ordinarily want to be involved in a crime such as rape, especially when the victim is a poor slum woman. Although a rich man definitely can buy his freedom by bribing the police, the victim's lawyer, the judge, and all parties involved, his name and reputation may be dragged through the mud once the media gets wind of the scandal. For this reason, a rich man or a man of high caste thinks twice about raping a poor woman or a girl from a low caste for fear of destroying his reputation and good standing in society. He will not want his family to be dishonored or a smear because of his reckless behavior. He wouldn't mind luring a beautiful, poor young woman into having sex in order to buy her body, but he would never like forcing her to have sex with him through coercion or rape. This self-imposed guideline is not because he fears the gods of or the law, but his name, social status, and religious positioning are far more important to him than his whole life. The fairest man who ever loves Rehana from the depths of his heart and with all his being is the handsome Jamal Khan. Likewise, Rehana Khan did not love any of her rich male employers and did not allow any of them to have sex with her, no matter how much money they offer her. By the way, 75% of the 150 million Muslim Indians have the family name of Khan, and the remaining 25% have the last name Sheikh. So it is not a mere coincidence that Rehana's father, husband, and lover have the same last name, Khan. Even the evil owner of the travel agency is called Mr. Muhammad Khan. The wily old Saudi could not purchase Rehana's sexual favors for 9,500 rupees. If Rehana worked for 2.5 years, she would not be able to save 9,500 rupees. In all her hard working in those rich families' houses, she was able to save 400 rupees, and she thought that was enough money to get her a visa to take her to a rich Arab country. Once again, after applying for the daughters' passports and bribing the requisite 101 passport officials so that the two passports could be issued in 3 weeks, Jamal took his beloved girlfriend and her cute daughter to a fancy restaurant and fed them a delicious meal. This time, instead of spending an hour in the restaurant like the previous day, the lovers spent 3.5 hours together. In India, if you are a lover or do not have any work to do and want to sit in a restaurant for 6 hours, you would be allowed to do so as long as you keep ordering different items from the menu. After consuming the delicious food, Jamal ordered the dessert, then the sweet dish, then the ice cream, then the cold drink, then the tea, and lastly the coffee. Incidentally, dessert and sweet dishes are not the same things for Indians. Every state in India has a different kind of sweet dish. As we know, Jamal's love is not anything like his office colleagues had concluded. This is not a one-sided love affair like the relationship between the beautiful Christian girl Christy and rich old sugar daddy Sheikh Ahmed. The handsome Jamal could see the love in Rehana's beautiful eyes and could hear it in every word she spoke to him. He read it on her smiling lips and felt it in her joyful laughter. In the said word, the girl is not expected to tell the boy, I love you, nor should she respond affirmatively when her lover says, I love you and I am ready to die for you. Her silence is her consent. Jamal knew that if he did not confess his love for her that very day, he might not see her again until the day the two passports accompanying visas arrive at the travel agency. Until that day, it is conceivable that his unpredictable boss might fail him, or he might fall sick, or be hit by a car and admitted to the hospital. Jamal asked himself why I should take a risk. He does not know where Rehana lives. She told him that she is living in a slum called Dharavi, but there are more than 5 million other huts in that dense, overpopulated place. Those slum huts are like a shanty town. It is the second largest slum area in the entire world. The largest is in Mexico City. For Jamal, finding his beloved in that jam-packed slum area would be like searching for an ant in the Amazon rainforest. People in the Dharavi area have been stuffed together in their small huts like eggs or sardines in tins. They have no addresses and none of them know how to read and write or expect to receive mail. His boss told him that when he filed out Rehana and her daughter's applications, he should use his address. Jamal lives in a chole house with an address, but he went to school and studied until grade 12. When the two passports of Rehana and her daughter are issued, they are supposed to be mailed to Jamal's address. Since many employees in the passport office had already been bribed, the two passports would possibly go directly to the travel agency. So Rehana and her daughter are supposed to come after 21 days to collect their passports, visas, tickets, and some US dollars. They would then head to Bombay International Airport the very same day. Mr. Muhammad Khan himself will be waiting for them at the international airport to see them off. He will not pick them up in his expensive car and take them to the airport. He will feel it is below his dignity to take such a poor woman and her daughter in his car. Rehana and her daughter would be given the taxi fare so they could travel by themselves. Their flight had already been booked for 9:45 p.m. On the same day, they were supposed to receive their passports and air tickets from the travel agency office. Jamal knows all the details of Rehana's trip. He is also struggling with the knowledge that she is going away on a 2-year work visa. If he had not revealed his love to her that day, he asked her to meet him before her trip, then he might not see her for 2 years. What guarantee would he have that would have her after 2 years? Rehana's what guarantee would he have that after 2 years Rehana is going to wait for him or remember him? Therefore, that day Jamal decided to reveal his love to his beloved, and if she responded it affirmatively, then both of them could make plans for their future and decide when they should get married to each other. Besides, they can meet during those 21 days and have a good time together as other lovers do by the seashore. The condition of the lover Jamal and his lover Rehana is worse than the condition of the lover Christy and her lover Bobby. Jamal has more than 10 mouses to feed in his small house. He lost his father and his mother, is not working due to a chronic illness. She has contracted it, an incurable disease, is in the final stage of a terminal cancer, and is expected to die at any time. Jamal has many younger brothers and sisters for whom he is the sole provider. He needs to wait for quite a long time before his brothers and sisters can finish their grade 10 and become employable. Two of his brothers are working in coffee shops on Sundays. In the said well-lit public schools and government offices are open 6 days a week. Even private sector employees and workers have to work on Saturdays. Jamal's 3 sisters used to do some cleaning and washing work for rich families after their school hours. However, their mother stopped them one after another when each one began to demonstrate. When the 3 sisters reached puberty and their mother stopped them from going to rich families' houses, the burden on Jamal became triple. The mother was scared that one of her daughters might get impregnated by an illegitimate baby by her male employer. In India, a pregnant unmarried girl has already dug her own grave and in the process destroyed her family name. She is no longer a marriageable female, and the odds are that her brothers or father would send her off to her grave in an honor killing. In any case, until his 3 sisters are safely married off, Jamal has to take care of them. Jamal Khan does not like the idea that Rehana Khan is going to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia because he knows what she might face over there. But then, since she has 6 children and 4 old people in her slum had to look after, he felt he would be selfish to tell her not to go. The circumstances of poor people sometimes might force them to compromise on important issues in their lives. We have already seen the case of the poor Christian Gail Christie or a Christina Lobos, who married the rich old Saudi Muslim man sugar daddy Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed because she wanted it to fulfill her life dream of living with her handsome Indian boyfriend Bobby. And as we know, when she turned it into an exceedingly filthy rich young lady or one of the richest girls in Bombay, she kicked the voluptuous old geezer out of her palace with her high heel shoe up his dirty ass. Jamal likewise found himself in a similar situation. If Rehan agreed to marry him after 2 years, then she might open the door for him to join her in that rich Arab country too. And then, as in the romantic novels, the hero and the heroine end up marrying and then live happily ever after. Chapter 9. The Naive Beloved Girlfriend. After weighing all the pros and cons, the lover began to reveal his feelings to his beloved. He found it difficult to show his confession in crude, direct sentences like, I love you, do you love me? He has only met her one day before, and she may say to him in plain words, no, or I don't know. So he decided to help her take the initiative and ask him a question that would make it easier for him to reveal his love more acceptably. He asked her many personal questions, but he discovered that she is a romantically naive girl and could not indulge in small love talk. She does not know how to speak the language of love. For example, he asked her what her favorite color, singer, movie, and film actor or an actress. She has never been to a movie theater or seen any movie. She said she has no favorite color, song, singer, actor, or a movie. So she could not engagingly answer any of those questions. Therefore, he stopped pursuing that strategy and downshifted it to simple ideas by complimenting her. I like your hair, eyes, smile, laughter, height, shoes, dress, and figure. He had not gone beyond outer appearances. He stayed away from asking questions that were too revealing or intimate. Nevertheless, all those questions and phrases did not lead her to ask him, why do you want to know everything about me? Or why do you compliment me so much? He thought if she asked him any of those questions, then he would tell her plainly, because I love you. When none of his tactics worked out, Jamal decided to go deeper and told her, I like your body. There are not any signs of a positive response. You look hot in your lovely dress. She has no clue what this sentence stands for. You have a sexy body. Still, there is no sign of a sexual reaction. I like your lips and breasts. At this stage, the sexy girl Layla showed some signs of a positive response to the Indian case. She became shy and turned her face downward. Then Jamal took hold of her both hands and began to caress them. She does not pull her hands away or stop him. The feeling of her hands generated great pleasure in his body. He had never had that kind of strong desire and pleasure before. His right hand released her left hand and moved slowly to her cheek. He began to feel her smooth and delicate face. She could He could hear that she was breathing a bit louder than before. Rihanna had never been so lovingly touched before. She had never been kissed either. Her late husband had no idea that the man should kiss and fondle his wife before making love to her. He just used to fall on her body like an animal jumping over the body of its mate. That day, for the first time, Rihanna enjoyed the touch of a man. She felt like a virgin that has been touched for the first time. She does not know what she should do and just let Jamal's hands continue to caress her hands and feel her cheeks. Albeit, when Jamal's hand moved from her cheek and began to feel her lips, she responded it. Her legs beneath the table spread and she became ready for love. She closed her eyes, opened her legs, and waited. At that moment, she is ready to give Jamal whatever he desires of her. Whatever he desires from her. She is fully carried away by the touches of her lover and forgets where she is. Instead, she heard his voice saying to her, I love you. No man ever told her before, I love you. Rihanna does not know what to say in response. She just remained silent, her silence considered by Jamal as a confirmation of her love for him. If it was not for the fact that they were out in public, seated in a restaurant, and the cute daughter Ifat was with them, he would have kissed her lips and she would not have stopped him at all if he began to have sex with her. Before saying his goodbyes, Jamal asks his beloved to meet him again. Rihanna agrees to meet him, but she does not know where to meet him. She asks him another two silly questions, which expose her social awkwardness. Should she see him at the office of the travel agency? And what is the reason for their next meeting? Her lover knows if she comes to meet him in the office, his wicked boss would fire him and he might go further than that and rape the sexy Rihanna. Considering the risk, he warned her in no uncertain terms not to step foot into the office again until the passports arrive in 3 weeks. Then he explained to her in simple words that he loves her so much and for that reason he wants to meet her again and again until the time of her departure. He told her that it is customary for Bombay lovers to meet and be intimate by the beaches. Then and only then his inexperienced and naive girlfriend realizes that as lovers they are to meet and enjoy each other's company. There are places in Bombay that would not look out of place in Western countries. Among the most beautiful are Colaba, Churchgate, Nariman Point, and Calf Bread, and many more. Of course, there are other wonderful areas in that cosmopolitan city, but the beauties of those places are blemished by the ubiquitous slum huts and the tall small houses that are encircling them. But the above mentioned areas are bereft of the usual deluge of poverty-stricken homes. In other Indian cities, people would tell you that just because you have seen Bombay, do not say that you have seen India. Some Indians hate Bombay because they believe that it does not portray the Indian people and their culture correctly. In Bombay, everything is allowed and practiced openly. Lovers sit by the beaches of those wonderful areas and hug and kiss each other with impunity, and the police would protect their right to privacy and intimacy. There are 3 official red light areas for brothel houses, and each area has thousands of prostitutes, hookers, and street girls are everywhere like flies or mosquitoes or other bloodsuckers. Even those homosexual Arabs can find young boys to indulge in sodomy with them. Those sexually pervert child abusers can find female children to abuse there. Drugs are sold on the streets like groceries in the stores. Every restaurant is allowed to sell alcohol. The area of Colaba is known as the Colaba of the Arabs. Every hotel or a motel is full of Arabs and their bimbit escorts, bringing them Indian prostitutes. The Arab visitor usually takes 6 to 8 prostituted girls from brothels or street hookers to spend his evening time with them in his hotel room. Every hotel or motel is full of Arabs, and their attendants called girls. An Arab male visitor customarily picks up 6 to 8 girls for his evening pleasure. Of course, no normal man can handle or have sex with such a large number of girls, but the Arab man would use each girl for a different duty. One girl to massage his body, one to serve him alcoholic drinks, one to light his cigarettes, one to kill the lice in his hair, one to serve him food, and one or two to have sex with him on the bed or on the carpet. In India, the Arabs revived the promiscuous life of the notorious Abbasid caliphs, who had thousands of female slaves in their palaces for sexual entertainment. Each palace, in each palace, these teenage girls were forced to walk completely naked and barefoot. At any moment, the caliph, any one of his other male relatives or officials, could seize the naked girl and rape her in the open, in broad daylight, just as a dog attacks its bitch or a rooster attacks its hen. He did not care if his sexual victim died while blatantly assaulting a helpless prey at the close of a deadly feral predator. The Quran allowed him to have sex or rape his female slave without the sanctity of the marriage bond. See Surah An-Nisa 4 verse 3. Jamal asked Rehana to meet him the following day in front of the travel agency office at 6 o'clock in the evening. He knew that the office would close by 5 p.m. and each employee would leave immediately after that. Even his evil boss would leave as soon as his office is closed. To be on the safe side, Jamal decided that a grace period of an extra hour would take care of the possibility of a colleague staying back a few minutes to finish their workload. He does not want anyone to see Rehana or see him with her. He knows what is going to happen to him if his wicked boss comes to know he is having a love affair with her and he's meeting her secretly after work hours. Rehana is a naive girl, and he felt that it is wiser to err on the side of caution. He told her to keep their love relationship discreet if she might bump into any of his colleagues. In addition, she was asked not to bring her daughter Ifat or any of her family members with her. Rehana has no idea what Jamal has planned for their next meeting. She does not know that her lover wants to hug her, kiss her, and have a good time with her. She did not expect that Jamal was planning to marry her after her return to India within 2 years. She has no plans for the distant future. She is just delving into the near future. She simply likes him and is happy to hear his words of endearment. She does not understand what he meant by the phrase, I love you and I want to meet you again. Although she has already fallen in love with Jamal, she does not understand the meaning of the phrase, I love you. Things went perfectly and the two lovers met near the office. Taking a taxi to Chargy Gate, they picked up a wonderful spot by the beach at Marine Drive. If you do not arrive in time with your lovely girlfriend, chances is all good spots would be occupied. By 7 p.m., the place would be packed with lovers. The whole area from Malabar Hills to the Air India building and the Hotel of Oberoi Tower is called the Queen Necklace. It is called so because it resembles a half circle like a necklace. It is such a large area that one needs an hour of driving to cover it from one end to the other. The cool breeze generated by the waves of the Arabian Sea made it the location made the location of choice for lovers in India. Bombay is built around an ocean that some people call the Arabian Sea and some refer to it as the Persian Sea. It is the northwest part of the Indian Ocean between Arabia and Western India. Everywhere you go to Bombay, you'll discover the whole city is essentially one huge beachfront property. It should be called a gulf rather than a sea. In Arabic, it is correctly called the Arabian Gulf and not the Arabian Sea. By the shore of the beautiful Queen Necklace, and while surrounded by lovers, the pretty Rehana, for the first time in her miserable life, has been hugged by her handsome lover Jamal and experienced her first kiss on the lips. Before that day, she had never known what a kiss is, or the lovers are to hug each other and enjoy each other so dearly. Tears flowed from her beautiful eyes when she remembered her miserable past life with her late husband, and they streamed down her beautiful face when she realized that in a few days she would leave her handsome lover and travel to an unknown destination. The separation would not be one day or 1 month, but rather 2 long years. Will Jamal wait for her all this time? Will he remain single until she returns? Is he even thinking about marrying a second wife? In the same way, a girl loses her value as soon as she gets married, divorced, or becomes a widow, regardless of her status, age, or beauty. Tears issued from her eyes when she remembered a woman is treated as if it were a car registered or previously owned by a man and resold it. It is considered use. Every man around her would like to have sex with her, but no one would want to marry her. And if she finds someone to marry her, that person would be an old man or an ugly man or a poor, someone who is mentally retarded or half mad or handicapped. Since she has already been married and lost her virginity to another man, she is expected to compromise and marry someone like the above mentioned defective males of her society. In Hinduism, the widow is supposed to be burned alive with the corpse of her dead husband. If the widow refused to practice sati with her dead husband, then she had to remain unmarried for the rest of her life. She would be kept in a small room in the basement, and she would not be allowed to wear shoes or put on a colorful dress or any makeup. Hindu people believe that their day would be spoiled or cursed if they happened to see the face of a widow. She would become a curse and unwanted person. Before that first kiss, the widow was not thinking about marrying again. However, after her lover took her to the seaside on Marine Drive and kissed her on the lips. She wished she could be with him forever. As if Jamal had read her thoughts, he confessed to her his desire to marry her and spend his whole life with her. Rihanna was thrilled when she heard her thoughts coming out of her lover's mouth instead of her own. She did not respond to the engagement for their marriage, and Jamal understood she agreed. If she had asked her, if he had asked her at that moment to forget her trip to the Arabian Peninsula and marry him tomorrow, she would certainly have agreed. It is unfortunate that Jamal's family's responsibility and circumstances did not allow him to make such a commitment. Rihanna was very disappointed when he told her that he would wait for her to come back in 2 years. 2 years? Rihanna said quietly. Yes, Rihanna. After 2 years, I would like to marry you now, but my family's responsibility and your family's condition do not allow us to marry now. We should sacrifice our love for a few years and live separately for the sake of our loved ones. After hearing his words, Rihanna couldn't hide her tears anymore. She started crying. Therefore, the newfound fountain of happiness was also overshadowed by the pain within her blossoming soul. Chapter 10. The two new lovers The two new lovers live in bliss. For 21 days, the beloved Jamal and did not leave any tourist spot in downtown Bombay without taking his beloved Rihanna to explore with him. Not a single day passed without him looking at her stunning beauty and enjoying her wonderful company. To spend quality time with the love of her life every day, Rihanna rearranged her work schedule. She used to work for wealthy families from 6 in the morning until 8 in the evening. But after she met and fell in love with the beauty of her age, the handsome Jamal, she reduced her working hours from 15 hours to 10 hours a day. She used to work 7 days a week, more than 8 hours a day, and she never received any overtime pay. She had no day off from work or a rest day. Even during official public holidays, she goes to work. The destitute and the poorest of the poor have no holidays in India. The work in the homes of those families never finishes. The maid servant has to sweep the floors, wash clothes, clean dishes, water the plants, cook the 3 meals, massage women, take care of their babies and old folks, and do hundreds of other household chores. Rihanna is not afraid she may lose her job even when some of her employers have threatened they will fire her if she does not come to work every day. For the sake of her lover, Qais, the lovely Layla is prepared to do anything, including for fishing those extra rupees she earns working as a female slave from sun up to sundown and not being paid overtime. After all, she knew that in a few days she was going to be in a rich Arab country where money could be found everywhere on the streets. Yes, Rihanna is not exaggerating when she saw that money could be collected off the streets of the promised land. Many simple-minded people in third world countries like Rihanna believe that in those rich Arab countries, which they call the petrodollar countries, hard currency notes can be found scattered all over the streets. The US dollar, UK sterling, Saudi Riyal and Kuwait Dinar are littering the streets like pieces of garbage in Bombay. Someone on the Al Jazeera satellite TV network said in an interview that the Arabs at the time of the Prophet Muhammad conquered the world by the sword, but today they are conquering it through petrodollars. One wicked Muslim Berisha said from the pulpit in a mosque that Muslims today are invading the Western infidel lands through their fallacies. He meant that those legal and illegal Muslim migrants are marrying infidel white girls, converting them to Islam, fucking their pussies, and therefore they are making pregnant those female infidels and multiplying within with those female converts. To have between 50 to 70,000 Indian rupees to buy work visas to go for work in those rich Arab countries, some Indians sell their houses or sell their kidneys to hoax doctors. At any rate, the new work schedule gives the lovely maid servant some space to pursue and enjoy her newfound love interest. She has changed her work schedule from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening to sunrise in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She cut down 4 hours for her romance. As soon as she finishes with the last house, she rushes immediately to the bus stop and travels to the local train station nearby. She would then take the train to Charji Gate, where Jamal would be waiting for her near his workplace. As soon as they meet, the romance begins. He will embrace her in his arms and start kissing her in the taxi cab on the ride to their deserted place. It is okay to hug and kiss in the back seat of a taxi cab, but sex is not allowed. Some overly anxious lovers and men picking up a street woman or a hookers often go further than kissing and hugging. They manipulate their hands to do things a decent man like Jamal would never think to do to his beloved girlfriend in a public place. Jamal has not asked Rehana to make love to him this way, for he is not intending to take advantage of her love before they wait after 730 days. He is determined to abide by their initial agreement. Nonetheless, on a few occasions, while he is kissing her by the seashore, he has been carried away by his girlfriend's charm and strong femininity and sexy body. He touches her in very sensitive areas, which could be considered ongoing sex, but not fully sex, where the lover's cock ejaculates by touching his beloved's pussy with his hands. To prevent our imagination from running wild and assuming things happen between the lovers that have not occurred, it is sufficient to say he just touched her pomegranate-like breast and the area around her waist, but his hands have not descended it lower than that. A few times his hand ventured below her shoulders and breast, slip beneath her upper dress, felt her smooth, delicate body, and enjoyed touching her big buttocks. Rehana may not have stopped him if he had gone further in arousing her every sensation. If Jamal has suggested they must rent a room for 1 hour in a small motel in Kulaba and have sex, she may not object to it. During those 3 weeks, she fully surrendered her mind, body, and soul to him. In Bombay, some small hotels and motels rent rooms for an hour or a couple of hours for couples wanting to have sexual activities. Most of those rooms are made of wood and they are as small as washrooms. These kinds of sex acts are illegal for unmarried lovers, of course, and sometimes the police would crack down on prostitutes and their clientele. Many times, foreigners were arrested along with their hookers and street women. Those detained among the many foreigners are the usual suspects, namely Arabs. For Rehana Khan, those 21 days are the most wonderful days of her life. During those blissful days, she enjoyed her lover in every way possible, physically, mentally, and above all, emotionally. Her miserable life has turned into a new green leaf, as if she had accidentally discovered the tree of life or found paradise, which was lost since the first human lovers, male and female, Adam and Eve, were expelled from paradise. She saw things and visited places that she had never seen before. She never would have known such a life is possible if she had never met Jamal Khan and fallen in love with him. For the first time in her life, she experienced watching a movie in a theater sitting by her lover. When she said she liked the movie, Jamal took her to see other motion pictures at the Eros and Regal cinemas. He also took her to tourist places such as Elephant Caves Island, Hanging Gardens, Malaba Hills, Chobati Beach, Juhu Beach, Prince Charles Museum, Isel Walid, Haji Ali's Mosque, Gateway of India, etc. They even visited beautiful areas where foreign consulates and banks are located in Kaf Braid and Nariman Point. During those 21 days, not a single day passed without the two lovers visiting the Queen's necklace, where they crowned their love with their first hot and exciting kiss. This first kiss is not alone for an orphan, but gives birth to many more hidden and explosive passions of love. To describe in detail all the wonderful days that the beautiful Indian girl Rehana enjoyed with her handsome lover Jamal, who, who rules her heart like a king and a queen, one needs to speak volumes and write fairly good-sized book. But you see, the destiny of poor people in India is not in their own hands. Their uncontrollable circumstances would decide for them where to go, when to go, and how to go. Their circumstances would also determine what they would eat, when they would eat, and how they ate. Many have no fixed meal time, and they have to eat food whenever and wherever they can find it. If their luck runs out and they do not work for several days, they will starve to death and die like stray dogs on the street. If you happen to see one of the two movies, Slumdog Millionaire or Salam Bombay, you would have an idea of what I'm trying to say. In India, the destiny of a poor person would be decided by someone richer or greater than him, or as Indians say, by the upper wala. Indians refer to this term as meaning the one in heaven or a god. An Indian female professor once said to her students at the university, where I was one of them, even God cannot solve the problem of poverty in India. The Indian female professor is a sage woman, and it would not be appropriate to disagree with her about her being wise if we were unable to provide a logical refutation or a practical solution for what she had wisely spoken about the problem of the poor in her country, which is inhabited by more than 1 billion people. Anyway, after 3 weeks, Rehana and Jamal's circumstances forced them to come down from that heavenly cloud and face reality. The passionate lover Jamal could not forget the day when his dear and beloved Rehana Khan, whom he adored and enjoyed so much for several days, came to collect her travel papers and bid farewell to her handsome lover and said to him, I will see you in 2 years. The beautiful Rehana could not keep her eyes from shedding tears in front of the other employees when she understood that she was not going to see her handsome lover Jamal for an exceedingly long time. The evil manager, Muhammad Khan himself, came out of his office and handed over to the departing maid, Rehana Khan, in front of his 9 employees, 2 passports, 2 visas, 2 plane tickets, and 500 Indian rupees. He also gave her a sealed an envelope containing some foreign currency in US dollars. He did not tell her how much was inside the envelope, but he told her not to open it until she reached Bombay International Airport. At the last moment, the boss made a slight change in Rehana and her daughter's itinerary. Previously, he had decided he was going to meet her and her daughter at the international airport, pay for their taxi fare to the airport, and give them the envelope with foreign funds for their overseas trip. Mr. Muhammad Khan told the widow, Mrs. Rehana Khan, in front of his employees that he had some urgent work needing his attention, and for that reason he could not go to the airport to see her and her daughter, her cute daughter, off on their flight. He said further that instead of him, the Sudanese boy, Babikir Al-Awar, should meet them at the airport and help her and her daughter check their bags and continue to board their plane. Why had they chosen Babikir? Why has he chosen Babikir and not Jamal? At the moment, we do not have an answer to that question. Mr. Muhammad Khan is not the kind of boss to be questioned by any of his 9 employees. Once he decides something, it is not his nature to change it. Nevertheless, the employees knew why their boss has changed his mind and decided not to go to the international airport. Just before Rehana arrived at the office that day, a rich Indian lady from Bangalore city phoned the office and informed one of the girls that she was coming to Bombay and asked her to tell her boss to meet her at 8 o'clock in the luxurious hotel, the 5 stars Oberoi Hotel. Every employee knows that the notorious womanizer, Mr. Muhammad Khan, is having a secret love affair with this rich businesswoman. She is a married woman and cheating on her husband too. Besides, what kind of business would a woman have to do with a man who is not her husband in a hotel room? If they are conducting business, it could be done in the hotel, restaurant, lobby, or even in the travel agency. Anyway, the Oregon boss has made his decision and it is final. The Sudanese male employee should see Rehana and her daughter off at the international airport and not Jamal. As soon as Rehana and her daughter Iffat collected their travel documents and left the office, Mr. Muhammad Khan returned to the office and locked the door behind him. Then he picked up his phone and dialed the number of Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmed and informed him that everything had been successfully processed and done, and the Indian maidservant and her 7-year-old daughter were on their way to the Bombay International Airport. He told him how much his office had spent on preparing all the necessary paperwork for Rehana and her child. Of course, being greedy, he doubled the amount his office had spent obtaining those travel documents. The Saudi old man told Mr. Muhammad Khan that he would send his secretary immediately to the bank and transfer the exact amount to his account. After that, Muhammad Khan gave the Saudi client the name of the air carrier and the flight number of the plane that is going to bring him his pretty young maidservant to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Once Sheikh Ahmed received all the details about his last chance at love, he felt overjoyed and thanked exalted Allah, gracious Prophet Muhammad, and Mr. Muhammad Khan 100 times. He promised to do more business with his Indian client and bigger and better deals, sending him hundreds of visas at reduced prices. This sizable windfall Mr. Muhammad Khan has received for preparing Rihanna and her daughter's paperwork and the promises of continued business transaction filled the heart of the greedy boss with indescribable joy. Moreover, the arrival of his rich Indian mistress from Bangalore City to Bombay City and the wonderful time he is going to spend with her on a bed in the most beautiful and expensive hotel in town added to his merriment. A few hours later that day, the greedy boss phoned the Bank of India and inquired if the amount Sheikh Ahmed had promised had been deposited into his account. His bank confirmed the arrival of the foreign money from an account in Saudi Arabia. Being elated and overwhelmed with joy, Mr. Muhammad Khan went the extra mile and gave all his 9 employees half day off from work, which is on a Friday. The employees are wishing that their boss had given them such a day off as well, so they could have 2.5 days off from work. Unfortunately, time is money, and the greedy boss is not that generous in time or money. Therefore, he told all the 9 employees to come back to work the following day.